Fire when ready, Gridley.
Was it Paul Johnson's idea that you should write this book? Or
It was. He said that Australia has one and so should Canada. He said he'd looked at Canadian histories and he didn't think they were readable. And that this was a vacuum that should be filled. So when I did it, I thought of him to write the foreword. Then you see, when he told me that was before I'd written my Roosevelt or Nixon books. And so I didn't have under my belt the experience of doing a really big history book. I'd done Duplessis, but that wasn't, and that was a lot of work. It took 6 years to do it, but it was, after all, the leader of a province, and I didn't have to go too far beyond that to complete the research. But my projects became more ambitious after that. It's with the history, where it's essentially in chronological order. You can get the material organized so as you get from New France to the early British years. You set aside one massive stuff and bring in another. And but by that time, I had it all organized in different shelves in my library, so I could just move it through like a sausage factory.
So that must have meant 2,000 words or so a day, 2,500 words a day, judging by the length and if it took you a year.
Gee, this would be 375,000. I would have thought more 1,000 a day because I work almost every day on it. But and I didn't. It wasn't cut very much. So, but in there somewhere. Look, on Nixon, because I had to finish that before my trial. I was doing 3,000 words a day. But there, I really had. I didn't have that much else to do. It was such a relief to dive into history, any history, rather than just talk to lawyers all the time. If people occasionally ask me what my next book is, and if I were not joking, I would say I could write a how-to book on a number of things of what to avoid, such as spending too much time with lawyers. See, I started with deductive reasoning. 400 years ago, Champlain and fewer than 100 Europeans were milling about in the Quebec City area with the native people, and it is today a G7 country, and of the G7 countries, it has longer continuity of the same political institutions than any except the British and the Americans. And there are 197 countries in the world, and Canada's got, I think, the 11th GDP, and probably, if you leave out some of these sort of petro-states where you have huge oil income statistically spread around amongst a small population. If you leave that out and talk about sort of integral economic countries, we'd have the third or fourth standard of living in the world. It's a very successful country. In the history of Canada, I think we've only lost 200 or not more than 200 people due to civil strife. This is an astonishingly small number compared to any other large country. And in the time we've been an autonomous country, we've only been engaged in 4 wars. And, well, they were just wars, and we were on the winning side all 4 times, and weren't seeking anything for ourselves, and didn't dishonor ourselves, and our armed forces distinguished themselves. I mean, it's a very good record.